All right, today I'm going to be talking about how to read spreadsheets. I'm going to be focused on the default configuration. I did this in the past, but hopefully I can do better. I would have more examples and actually like controllers on the screen. Other than that, the next video after this, I'm going to show you how to customize it or like ideas, basic things that most games have, like combining buttons and whatnot. But today I'm going to be just going over how to read it, how to make sense of it, because a lot of people share theirs on the forum, and it's a good template. You can get ideas from others. Uh, what I did, I just went to the Quadstick manager and I found a default configuration. I click edit configuration and open up this URL. I'm gonna have this in the description box below. I made a copy of it, and just so I can go over it real quick, to make a copy, I just click on file and I make a copy. I name it whatever I want, and then I put it where I desire. That's pretty much it. Just name it what you want, put it where you want it to be, and then when you click OK, it makes your own personal one. So now that I made a copy of it, I own it. I can do whatever I want to it. See, I changed the colors. I named it SB default configuration for this video, and I'm ready to talk about it. Okay. So every Quadstick has a default configuration, and this is what it should look like. Everybody has the same buttons. I like my default profile. I use it as my backup in case anything goes wrong. And I'm just kind of go over the columns. It all looks like a mess. First and foremost, the title on top does not dictate what is going to be called at the end. This is kind of like a cliff note, like a nickname. You name it whatever you want to give you an idea what it is, but the actual profile name is on line A2. So A2 is very important because at the end of the whole thing, when you make other people's copy, this is where you fix the name. Default.csv is what it's called. And the rule for this is there can be no spaces, and that's pretty much it. If there's no spaces, and you have to end it with .csv. I try not to make it too long because you're not trying to write a paragraph. Just keep it simple, typos, whatever. As long as you have no spaces and it ends with .csv, it should download normally when you go through add-ons. Click on highlight Quadstick and do either one of these, depending what you have. I'll go more on that later in the next video. A1 is also important. Your profile should always start with profile name, because then the spreadsheet knows what to do with it and downloads it correctly. The next one is output and function. This one's a little confusing to people because people get confused between PlayStation controls and Xbox controls. They have different names, but they're the exact same thing. The A button on the Xbox is an X button on the PlayStation. A B button on the Xbox is a circle on the PlayStation. They're the same thing. But for those that can't wrap their mind around it, if you click on that little arrow next to it, it has a drop down menu. You can change it to PlayStation names and Xbox names. This does not help you. Whatever you have it on, it should read normally. But if I click on Xbox, all it does is change the name. If you have it set as PlayStation output and you playing on Xbox, it's gonna know what you're trying to do, because it's like I told you, it doesn't matter. It's just for people to wrap their head around what they're looking for. Because the thing that I get confused the most is the Xbox has an X button and the PlayStation also has an X button, but they're in two different locations. I'm just gonna leave it as PlayStation for now. Or actually, yeah, I'm just gonna leave it as PlayStation. There you go. Now it's time to get over like what everything means. So the A column represents what you want. What is it gonna be doing normally? So we have D-pad, left joystick, up, left, down, right. We have all the buttons. So the A column is basically, what you want, what you're gonna be doing, what is it assigned to. The B column is function. I am going to be covering another video on this. This one's a whole lot of accessibility. But what function is how is the button going to function? If I just click the drop down menu real quick, you have all these different tools to play with. Toggle, normal, repeat, which is basically turbo. There's so many things. I want to cover each and every one of them in a separate video. But right now we're just going to leave it normal. That's how the Quadstick functions. So we want it to act normally. And what normal means is when I click on the command, it activates. If I let go, it deactivates. Basically on when I'm doing the action. Now column C is where on the Quadstick is it going to be at. So if we look on lines 4 and 5, we have increment mode. What increment mode and decrement mode are is basically changing modes on the Quadstick. So the default Quadstick has, if you look down here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 modes. And they're all kind of written in there. So the first mode is left analog all the way to mouse mode, which is on mode 5. And to change modes, we use the side tube because the instructions for that is called right sip and right puff. So when you see the line the words right sip and right puff by themselves, it represents the side tube. Either you right sip it to jump up one, or you right puff it to jump down one. But this is what column C is. It's where on the Quadstick, or what on the Quadstick is going to be having that job to activate the button. So if I just go to lines 14 to 17, it's called left joy left. A little confusing, but this all represents the left analog stick of a controller. So left joy left means I move the left analog stick left, then underneath it is I move the left analog stick right, then up, then down. And I'll show you right now. I'm on the first mode. If I move up, you can see both the controllers are in sync together, and this all represents the left analog stick because on lines 14 to 17 it says left, right, up, down on column C, and that represents the joystick of the Quadstick, and they're pretty much according to each other. That one's pretty straightforward. Lines 18 to 19, oh no, 21, it's blank, and it's okay if it's blank on the blue column. When it's blank, that means there's no buttons assigned to it on the Quadstick. For the right joystick, it should be on mode 3 on the default. Yeah, see? Lines 18 or 21, the joystick of the Quadstick is assigned purely for the right analog stick. If I do that, if I go to mode 3 and I start moving the joystick, you can see the right analog stick moving with me now. Because that's what it was assigned to. But going back to left analog stick, I'm going to move on to 21 and 24. Left 1, left 2, and left 3. It's pretty much on the PS3, left 1, left 2, and left 3. And on the Xbox is left bumper, left trigger, and left stick. And for this one, it looks a little daunting. Going over it, MP means mouthpiece. So when you see MP, you know that it's going to be the mouthpiece, like somewhere on the mouthpiece with 3 holes. And then on line 22, it says MP left sip. So what left sip is it's telling you where on the Quadstick is going to be located and what action you're going to be doing. So on line 22, it says left sip. So you're going to go to the left side of the Quadstick and you're going to sip it. Really hard, or just hard enough. And you'll notice that it's triggering left 1 and left bumper. Now, the one underneath it, line 23, same concept, but instead of sipping it, it's telling me to puff the left side of the mouthpiece. So left puff. That should be triggering L2 on the PlayStation and left trigger on the Xbox. L3, which is left stick, it's left center sip. So now it's giving you two different directions. Still on the mouthpiece, and then it says left underscore center. That means it wants you to sip the left side and the middle at the exact same time. So your mouth is going to be hovering both of the holes of the quad stick. So I'm just going to put my mouth over it. That should be triggering the left analog stick, clicking into it like a button. So yeah, when you see two directions, that means it wants you to trigger them at the exact same time with the exact same action. Oh, this is kind of confusing actually. But you'll get the hang of it once you start playing with it. It'll probably take you like 3 days or so. The next one I'm going to cover is lines 25 and 27. Same concept, but instead of left 1, left 2, left 3, it's going to be right 1, 2, and 3. And it's going to be on the right side of any controller. So it says MP right sip. So I'm going to go on the right side of the quad stick and then sip it. It should be triggering the right bumper on R1 on the PlayStation. And then line 26 is all the same thing. Instead of sipping it, I'm puffing it. So right puff. And it should be triggering the triggers and right 3, which is right stick, right center sip. So it means right hole and the center hole at the same time, sipping it. All right, we're almost done. The next ones are the buttons, the main buttons, triangle, circle, square, X, or A, B, X, Y. Mine's 28. It's lip. That one's the easiest button you can do. It's right underneath the mouthpiece. I do it all the time. This one should be the A button for the Xbox. Well, all you gotta do is push it in. I'm not sipping anything. I'm just kind of jabbing my chin into it. Lines 29 is a circle and pretty straightforward. It says MP center puff, so the middle hole, and I'm just blowing into it. For line 30 square, same position, and I'm sipping it. So center sip. And then triangle, instead of right center sip, which is the right one and the middle one, it's going to be right center puff. So the right side of the quad stick and the middle at the same time. I'm blowing into it. By this time, it should kind of be straightforward. I'm just kind of going down the line since I'm already here this far. This is where the location of the controllers are going to be at. And then the last ones that this has is the actual center buttons of the controllers. So like pushing start, select, the home button. The PlayStation button, I don't know if it's going to show with this little controller emulator, but I'll test it out. But clicking select or the back button on Xbox, it's these are a little hard to do at first just because you're getting used to the quad stick and you're breathing. But they're named the same with a twist to it. So have you noticed on lines 32, it talks about soft at the end of the command. So it's still on the mouthpiece, the left side. I'm sipping it, but I'm sipping it softly. So if I sip it softly, it should trigger. I really hope it triggered. But yes, I'm sipping the left side of it softly. The same with the PlayStation 3 button on line 33, which is the Xbox button. On just like an Xbox or PlayStation, if you click on it, it brings up the home menu. But if you hold it, it brings up the turn off the system menu. So it all depends on how you sip it and how long. So for this one, it says mouthpiece, center, sip, softly. You should hear it whistle. That's what usually the Quadstick does when it's sipping softly or puffing softly. For the start button, same concept. Mouthpiece, right side, sipping it softly. So, and then last but not least, line 35 is the touchpad. I think this one's only for PlayStation 4, not 3, which I have on here. So I really don't think it's gonna activate, but it's the same concept. Uh, if I want to click the touchpad and it's acting normally, it's going to be activating on the default profile as the left side of the quad stick. You're puffing it softly. I'll do it anyway, but I really don't think it's going to appear because there's no touchpad on these controllers. But that's pretty much it. This is how you read a spreadsheet, and this is how you read the spreadsheet for the default configuration. Please let me know if this made sense. If it doesn't, I'll try to elaborate better or even redo this. This is probably one of the most complicated ones to do because most people are getting used to it. But thanks for watching. Hopefully it wasn't too